You've made big commitments in the past, you're making commitments right now, but what's changed? What has General Motors now saying it's not enough, we've got to do more?
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, I'm reacting to a few clips from a video interview yesterday with the GM president and CNBC discussing their plans to move into / accelerate their transition to manufacturing electric vehicles. The big question, is it too little too late? Spoiler alert, yes, you don't even need to watch the rest of the video, but if you've got nothing else to do for the next 10 or so minutes, let's get into it. But first, hey guys, if you live in the US and you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 4 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 2 free stocks between $2.50 and $250 each just for opening an account. And if you deposit $100, you'll get a further 2 free stocks valued between $8 and $1,600 each. That is an obnoxiously good return on your investment. I mean, really, deposit $100 and you'll end up with, at minimum, $21 worth of stocks, a 21% ROI on your money. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
This is a big investment that General Motors is making and a big commitment to do more when it comes to electric vehicles. Here is the new EV plan that the company laid out today. Previously, it was planning on investing $20 billion by 25. Now they're saying add on another 7. So $27 billion invested into EVs by 2025. 30 new EV models. 2/3 of those will be sold in North America and here in the U.S., cutting the EV battery pack cost by 60%. That's a huge goal by mid-decade, and selling 1 million EVs worldwide by the middle of the decade.
So EV costs down around 60% by mid-decade. Tesla's recently unveiled a plan just to reduce their battery costs alone by almost the same amount by 2023. This all occurred at Battery Invest today. Never mind the fact that their manufacturing techniques continue to improve in leaps and bounds and provide outsized financial returns. There's 2 deeply disturbing numbers here. The first is that GM is planning to have 30 different EV models by mid-decade, yet sell only 1 million electric vehicles. These numbers are very troubling. The first, that means that GM on average is looking to sell about 33,000 units for each different vehicle model. That's it? Really? What's the fucking point? The second troubling thing is that currently GM sells around 3 million vehicles per year. If by mid-decade they're only aiming for around 1 million, 1/3 of their total vehicles to be electric, they are categorically fucked. This is GM's declaration. Hey guys, well, by mid-2025, we're going to be on the way to bankruptcy, and by the end of the decade, we guarantee it, we will be out of business because this is what we're aiming for. You guys can count on it. Mark my words, GM is done. If this is the plan they follow through with, they are fucked. Here we are once again looking at my estimates for Tesla deliveries, not production, but deliveries out to 2030. What do I have Tesla at by 2025? 7.5 million vehicles, more than double what GM does in total today. If GM's aiming to be producing 1 million electric vehicles by mid-decade and Tesla's producing 7-8 times as many, they're irrelevant. They don't exist anymore. It is game over. This is way too slow. And I hate to say it, but these estimates are conservative. I've only got 63,000 vehicles coming out of Berlin next year and 21,000 out of Austin. There is a very strong chance that these factories and facilities will ramp even faster than I'm predicting. I'm just being a little bit conservative just in case. New battery cell tech going in, plus the Semi, plus the Roadster, plus the Cybertruck. These are all new vehicles being ramped up, so there could be some surprises. But I'm saying now, guys, like, GM are in big trouble.
General Motors cut in development costs with the battery pack. That's a huge deal. So is the commitment to cutting the development plan for electric vehicles. Take a look at the new GMC Hummer. This is a sport utility truck, electric sport utility truck that's on the way in 2022. GM has said, look, we've cut the time for developing of this vehicle and other EVs, and we'll continue cutting them in half. They need to move quickly because when it comes to EV sales, they lag the competitor. And we all know who the competitor is here in the United States. Look at this. This is year-to-date U.S. sales according to Motor Intelligence. No comparison here. Tesla sells basically 4 out of every 5 electric vehicles. GM, a very distant second here in EV sales in the U.S. Against that backdrop, let's bring in Mark Royce, the president of General Motors. He is joining us from the company's tech center in Warren, Michigan. Mark, you know the reality of what's going on when it comes to electric vehicles. I'm curious, you've made big commitments in the past, you're making commitments right now, but what's changed? What has General Motors now saying it's not enough, we've got to do more?
Well, Phil, a few years ago we started to realize that this startup company we all thought would go bankrupt called Tesla was actually somehow not going bankrupt. Then we thought about it a little bit more and didn't really do much. Then we continued to think about it a little bit more and didn't do much. Now we've realized that we actually are going bankrupt before the decade ends unless we go all in on EVs. However, we're still kind of scared, don't want our investors to freak the fuck out. So at this point in the time, we're doing a half commitment, not really all in, but hey, it's better than nothing. We're still probably going bankrupt this decade. So, wait, sorry, I thought I was the GM president then. I'm so sorry, guys. That was really rude of me. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, I think good afternoon, Phil, and thanks for having me. Today is a further demonstration of our commitment and acceleration to electric vehicles, and this isn't something that we've been on for a month or two. We've been on it for a year and a half, 2 years.
Tesla Roadster, 2008. Model S, 2012. Model X, 2015. Model 3, 2017. GM.
And we really took a step back and said that we are going to have a vision of 0, 0, 0. So zero emissions, zero congestion, and that's a big deal for us. And that commitment that we made is now manifesting itself in the way we have brought our battery chemistry, our battery manufacturing, with our joint venture with LG, and then our pack itself. And then the vehicles. These are all new platforms. They're dedicated platforms, very different from in the past with vehicles like the Volt or the Bolt that we've done in more recent history. This is a completely dedicated platform and propulsion system that we have done in-house. And when we get over the first hurdle of taking the time out of the vehicle development process like the Hummer, we now can see we can cut that in half because we're doing it ourselves. So the speed, the agility is everything for us, and the commitment is there.
Mark, on paper, nobody's arguing that this doesn't make sense, that General Motors does not have the assets and the will to do better and to do much better when it comes to electric vehicles. But and we've talked about this before, you've been talking about this and laying the groundwork for some time. Why should investors believe that GM truly has the horses to catch up and pass Tesla?
Oh, Phil, that is such an unfair question. We all know there's no way in hell GM's catching Tesla. As we saw earlier, GM is aiming to be producing 1 million EVs by the middle of the decade. Tesla will be producing 1 million EVs next year.
Well, I think if you look at the synergy that we have across the company, we make internal combustion engines. We have world-class manufacturing. You know that. You look at our launches that we've done over the last few years, and they've been very, very good. So that industrial might and will and scale globally is something that we're bringing to bear in the electric vehicle space. I don't think there's anybody right now that is going to be able to do what we're doing. And, there's people, including some of our competitors, just now talking about bringing that chemistry and that vertical integration into the cell production and the pack production. And we're on our way. We're breaking ground. We're getting ready to fire up the plants to do it. So, there's nothing like product. And so for each product that we bring out and the commitment behind that and the scale and the manufacturing, we're going to have to show people, and we will. And doing what we say we're going to do is everything, and we will do that.
Mark, it's Kelly here. There's been a lot of speculation over the past months about GM spinning out its electric vehicle business. Does today's announcement take that off the table?
Nothing's forever, but we looked at the synergies that we have, again, throughout the manufacturing and the engineering and R&D pieces of General Motors. Those are across both internal combustion engines and electric vehicles. So, that scale and mass, and we just announced we were going to hire 3,000 more software engineers than we have today.
Now, this is good. 3,000 new software engineers is a massive step in the right direction. However, there just is one slight hurdle here, and that is that all the good ones already work for Elon Musk. I'm not here to be rude or offensive, but it's just true. Ask engineering students, where do they most want to work? Literally, Tesla is the #1 place for graduating engineering students. The #1 place they aspire to work. Tesla. Number 2, SpaceX. So this means that Tesla has all the A players, and everyone else now scrambling to catch up to Tesla, realizing how critically important software is getting the B, actually not even the B, probably the C, D, and E grade software engineers. Just the facts.
Which we've got a great core, and we've We're executing on that. That synergy and the loss of friction that comes with taking and putting something into a separate unit, that synergy can be very costly on a spin-out. And so we don't want to lose time. We don't want to lose money.
Those statements there can tell us a lot. If we think about things logically, it makes absolutely no sense to not spin off your EV division independently. The majority of people who work at General Motors have internal combustion engine specialization, okay? These people are effectively useless when it comes to EVs. They don't know shit about software. They don't know shit about batteries. They don't know shit about electric vehicles. Now, this isn't to disparage the engineers that work at GM, but let's be honest, the majority of them are going to be close to useless when it comes to building electric vehicles. They're going back to square one. The reason that GM isn't spinning out this EV division is because they are desperate. They know they're years behind. As we just heard, they don't want to spend the time or the money because they don't have either. They're in a desperate situation. This statement says so much about the corner GM are currently backed into.
We don't want to lose time. We don't want to lose money. And we have to get to the point where our battery chemistries have made a big leap from 60% of the cost. There's more to come on that, and we've got a clear roadmap to do it. And that doesn't come from some different place, finding it out and then trying to execute it. So the synergy and the amount of money and the speed is incredibly important. Things change, obviously. The business changes, the market changes. But for now, that synergy is incredibly important to go as fast as we can on things like Hummer and the Lyriq. We announced that we're bringing the Cadillac Lyriq ahead 9 months from when we talked about it at its launch. So, I mean, these are big, important things, and creating the dis-synergy on a totally separate entity is something we're just not prepared to do. We looked at it very carefully. We studied it. We looked in depth at what it would take from a human capital and a regular capital standpoint. And our human resource and expertise that we have in General Motors, I believe, is a real competitive advantage. Our people are the best.
Mark, you've been with GM since the mid-'80s, so you've seen this company for a long time, go through a lot of changes. You know how long it takes to develop a new vehicle. Generally speaking, a little over 4 years, and that's if everything goes well. What gives you the confidence to say, we can do this in half that time? We can develop an EV in 2 years as opposed to 4 years.
Well, I think, if you look at our recent launches, in many cases, they're quite a bit less than 4 years, Phil. So, we've been taking time out of that for quite a while now. But if you look at the tool sets, the simulation, the crash models, those are a very highly developed place. The simulation of battery power density, propulsion, anything that we do that touches a car, and the ability to engineer, validate, and then finally make a physical property, we've honed that over the years. So that expertise, we know exactly what we can and can't do, and where we can go to production tools with our supply base right out of the box in terms of the math we create for something like a Hummer or a Lyriq, and go right to production tools, execute, and the only thing left is a few physical properties to really validate everything that we've produced with our engineers. So again, it gets down to human expertise and the modeling that we put in place and developed over the years. And I have a lot of confidence. I've done a lot of car programs. I've been here for, like you said, maybe too long, but a long time. And I have all the confidence in the world. I do.
Mark Royce, president of General Motors. Thanks, Mark, for joining us. I know, you've got the Hummer behind you. Someday we'll get a chance, once we get past all this pandemic stuff, to get in the Hummer. I want to try out the crab walk in that vehicle. Thank you for joining us today. Kelly, there is no doubt this is a Dom, this is a very ambitious plan that General Motors has laid out today. Now the question is, execute. Can they deliver on what they laid out today? That's going to be the big question.
The big question certainly is, can GM deliver? Now, I just want to say, in fairness to GM, even though I've been a little bit critical of their actions, they don't really have any other choices. They've left it way too late to get into the EV race. That said, of all the automakers out there, VW and GM seem to be moving fastest towards electrification, but it's still nowhere near fast enough. And finally, here's another prediction, because I love being accountable and right. In the future, I believe that GM is going to attempt to spin out their EV company in a few years' time once they've got their volumes up a little bit, and then use that company to put GM's core business out of business. If they announced this plan today, it would absolutely freak GM investors the fuck out. But I'm almost certain this is their plan. This is the only way they survive the decade. They need to spin out their core competency, EVs, the future, and just let everything else die. Time will tell, but I'm pretty confident that's their plan. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.